Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. What I'd like to do is show you how to show you how to graph this quadratic by completing the square. So what we notice right now is this quadratic is in standard form, and we want to rewrite it in vertex form by completing the square. So to complete the square, the first thing we need to do is get rid of that negative, because to complete the square, we got to make sure our a is 1, not -1. So to do that, we got to factor out the -1. And I'm only going to factor out the -1 out of the first two terms, because the first two terms are what we're going to use to get our perfect square. So by factoring out a -1, I'm left with x squared minus 8x plus 20. OK. So now we need to complete the square. Now completing the square is really, really fun. Joke. So once we complete the square, all we're simply going to do is going to take b, which is the coefficient of our linear term, divide it by 2, and square it. So our linear term is still right here. So all I'm going to do is take -8 divided by 2 and square it. Well, -8 divided by 2 is -8 divided by 2 is -4. -4 squared is 16. OK, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 16 and subtract 16 on the same side. I want to add 16 inside the parentheses, because when I add 16 inside the parentheses, what that does is that produces a perfect square trinomial. And when I produce a perfect square trinomial, I can now factor that to a binomial squared. However, since I added 16, I also got to make sure I subtract 16. What am I doing? So I'm going to add 16, and now I need to subtract 16. But be careful, because also not only did I add 16 here, but I need to, added 16 needs to be multiplied by -1. Therefore, this 16 also needs to be multiplied by -1. Now, I can factor my binomial square to y equals x minus 4 squared. And then -16 times 1 is positive 16, so plus 36. Now, what we can do is we determine that now we can determine our vertex. So our vertex is h comma k. So our vertex in this case is going to be 4 comma 36. Now to graph this, it's going to be a big one here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So I go 4, 36. Then the next thing is also notice that since this is negative, I know that since a is negative, I know my graph is going to open down. The next thing is I know since a is equal to 1, I'm not going to stretch or compress my graph. So I can follow the standard form of left 1, down 1, right 1, down 1. Left 2, down 4, right 2, down 4. I'm going to have a graph that's going to look something like that. Okay? And obviously, you can use a graphing or computer system from there to finish the rest of that. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the basic idea of how to graph from standard form to vertex form. Thank you.